Hello everybody, I hope you're all doing well. In this short video, we are going to present the results of our research entitled Iranian French Language Students' Perception Regarding HyFlex Language Learning. This research has been conducted by Soodeh Eghtesad, who is an assistant professor at the University of Tehran in Iran, and Elaleh Ansarian, who is a lecturer at Imam Reza International University in Mashhad, Iran. I'm first going to present the introduction and the significance of the problem. Then I am going to explain a little bit about what HyFlex education is. Then we're going to delve into the research methodology, followed by the results and discussions, and finally the conclusion regarding the implications of the research in language learning and teaching. Okay, introduction and significance of problem. In the past few decades, we've been witnessing an increasing number of non-traditional students who try to pursue their academic endeavors in conjunction with their professional obligations and family-related responsibilities. So we're seeing a need for alternative educational pathways that enable all students, regardless of their life situation, to benefit from quality education. In many academic situations, we see the simultaneous existence of traditional and non-traditional students. So traditional students are those who are only going to school, and non-traditional students are those who are going to school and at the same time they're working. They have family-related occupations and responsibilities, and so they have to balance their life and work situation in order to benefit from both and actually be able to fulfill all their responsibilities in both of these academic and professional and life situations. On the other hand, we see the university's ambition to maintain educational justice and focus on flexibility in learning, and also put into place student-centered instruction, because they're hoping to provide equal learning opportunities for all students regardless of their situational constraints. So one of the most important, I would say, and one of the most recent and practical learning models that fosters student-centered learning while allowing students the necessary flexibility in their class attendance mode is hybrid flexible education, which is also known as HyFlex education. So HyFlex education allows students to choose their class attendance mode from in-person, attending class in person, synchronous online classes, and asynchronous offline classes, all of which are based on the same course objectives, course material, and course activities, and are assessed in the same way. So they are actually using a combination of these three modes of attendance and participation based on daily life situations that they are encountering in their life. HyFlex courses are becoming more and more used in various language teaching and various educational settings. So me and my colleague, we decided to implement this type of teaching in a French language class for the first time in Iran at the university level French language classes. And we wanted to see how this type of education is received by students, how satisfied they are by this type of education, and what are the advantages and disadvantages of this type of education for learning a language in higher education in Iran. So in this research, we investigated two course objectives. The first one was investigating students' level of satisfaction regarding participating in HyFlex courses based on the four main principles of HyFlex courses according to Biati, which are learner's choice, reusability, accessibility, and equivalency. We also wanted to investigate the advantages and disadvantages of HyFlex courses within the Iranian higher education system from the point of view of students. So our main research questions are, first of all, how satisfied are French language students with HyFlex courses in the Iranian French language courses, and what are the most important challenges and benefits of HyFlex language courses in Iran. Okay, let's hear a little bit about the nature of HyFlex education. Hybrid flexible or HyFlex courses are student-centered classes that integrate face-to-face instruction, online synchronous instruction, and offline asynchronous content delivery modes. Instructors in this model teach the course in a regular classroom, physical classroom with a series of students sitting physically in the classroom. At the same time, the session is live streamed and recorded. So every day, each student may independently choose to attend the class in person, through online learning management systems or video conferencing, or by watching the recording of the class later at a later time. The most important characteristic of HyFlex courses is that the attendance mode and the participation in class activities and the completion of classroom works, projects, and homework are completely left to the student each session of the class, in a way that a student can attend face-to-face classes one day and then online the other day, or spend the entire semester alternating between any of these three modes of learning based on his or her preferences and constraints. The HyFlex learning model has been designed to grant students a certain amount of flexibility in the way they want to benefit from the class, whether it's course content, activities, participation and interaction in the class, or even the assessment at the end of the class. So, according to Biadi, this flexible nature of the class guarantees more satisfaction among students because of the four characteristics of HyFlex courses. The first one is learner's choice, the fact that the instructor provides and fosters alternative attendance modes that allow learners to choose the mode of class participation that corresponds to their daily needs and situations. The second one is equivalency, which is the fact that the three modes of content delivery, although they're not equal because, there are differences in face-to-face classes or online or asynchronous classes, they're all supposed to provide equivalent learning opportunities, equivalent activities, and equivalent learning outcomes and objectives for all students, regardless of the way they're attending the class. So a student who comes to class every day in the face-to-face mode has to have equal learning outcomes and do equal learning activities compared to those who are attending the class only online or in a combination of the three modes of class participation. The third principle of HyFlex learning is reusability, the fact that learning content and course materials, including classroom or online activities, in each mode are saved and they can be used as many times as learners want in all three modes by all students. So again, regardless of students' attendance mode, this content is always there on the course platform or somewhere online for the students to come back and revisit and watch again and use during their homework, for studying, and any other learning activity that they're engaged in. And finally, the fourth principle is accessibility, which concerns the fact that students are equipped with the technological tools, resources and skills that allow them to equally access all participation modes. So accessing class material is granted to all students at any time, at any place, regardless of the way they are participating in the class. Okay, now I'm going to explain to you a little bit about the way this research was conducted. The participants in this study include 80 undergraduate English language and translation students who attended French classes as part of their curriculum at Imam Reza International University, which is located in Mashhad, Iran. So they are students who are studying English as their major, but they are also required to take French classes as a second language, and it was in these French classes that the HyFlex education was implemented. All students were female. 90% of them were aged 18 to 24. The majority of the students, about 61% of the students, were full-time students, so what we call traditional students, while 39% of them either worked full-time or part-time alongside their studies, so the non-traditional students. 21% of the students were married and 9% of them had kids, whereas 79% of the students were single. At the end of the course, we asked the students about their attendance mode, and 51% of them said they attended the class in HyFlex mode, while 49% said they only attended the class in face-to-face classes. The data for this research was collected quantitatively and qualitatively through a questionnaire and an interview. In the first place, in order to investigate language learners' perceptions regarding HyFlex courses, a questionnaire was designed and administered to students through Google Forms. The questionnaire consisted of 59 questions or 58 questions, and then first 9 questions concerned participants' demographic information, and 49 questions analyzed the various dimensions of learners' perceptions based on the 4 core principles of HyFlex course, which are learner's choice, equivalency, accessibility, and reusability. We also had an interview which was conducted by the researchers with 20 of the students who participated in the research. The interviews were in form of mostly open-ended questions, and they focused on students' experiences regarding course attendance flexibility, course outcomes and learning objectives, course accessibility, resources accessibility, student-student and instructor-student interactions, and participation in class activities. Okay, so now I'm going to present the results of the research. Okay, so the next 4 slides are going to be illustrating the questionnaires' responses regarding students' perceptions in regards to HyFlex courses. The questions were assigned to students. They answered them without knowing which question dealt with which of the 4 components of the HyFlex courses. And then once we tried to analyze the questionnaire, we regrouped the questions within the framework of each of the 4 components of HyFlex courses, which are learner's choice, equivalency, reusability, and accessibility. So just to give you a little bit of background research methodology information, the questionnaire was based on the Likert scale, and students had to answer each one of the items from strongly agree, neutral, disagree, or strongly disagree. And then once we wanted to analyze the questionnaires, we gave each one of these choices a number. Strongly agree corresponded to number 5, and strongly disagree corresponded to number 1. So what you're seeing here in this slide is the average of students' responses to each one of the prompts in the questionnaire regarding learner's choice. So the average of the entire component of learner's choice is 4.17, and then we can see pretty high numbers, all of them pretty much except 1 or 2 are above 4.35, 4.50. So it actually indicates a rather high perception regarding learner's choice among the students. So the students were happy with the fact that they were allowed to choose their participation mode, that there was this flexibility that was offered to them, and they, instead of the instructor or the institution, were in charge of deciding how they wanted to attend a class. They say that it had a positive effect on their learning, it had a positive effect on their motivation, and it got them more engaged in the process of learning, so that at the end they would be more committed to their studies, they would be more motivated to study, and they would have more self-confidence, and they were able to actually give more attention to the class material. So the fact that they were able to choose how they felt more comfortable to attend the class allowed them to have the class in a way that would grant them more attention, more engagement, and thus more learning. Okay, so the second slide is the questionnaire results regarding the component of equivalency, and here we can see that the average is 3.96, which indicates still an overall positive perception among students regarding the course equivalency, although it's a little lower than the first component, which was the learner's choice. Thirdly, we get to the reusability component, which consisted of 6 questions, and the average for this component is 4.22, which is still a higher number, and which indicates an overall positive perception amongst the students regarding the course reusability. And finally, we get to the course accessibility, and this is the highest number. The average is 4.30, which indicates an overall positive perception among the students regarding the accessibility of the course, of the materials, and of the content and activities of the course. As far as the interview results are concerned, we can see that the most significant benefits of HyFlex courses that yielded to student satisfaction were the course flexibility and the fact that the courses were student-centered because they promoted autonomy and self-regulation among students. The student also appreciated the instructor support and the unlimited access to resources. Regarding the most challenging components of HyFlex courses, the first one was the over-reliance on technology and the fact that everything was available to students only through technology, and that became even more serious when there were technical issues and that students were not able to access the course material or the course itself because of problems with the internet or problems with the technology. So we're going to end our presentation with a little bit of discussion, and we're finally going to get into some preliminary conclusions regarding this study. As far as the data is concerned regarding the questionnaires, we can see that the component of accessibility with the average number of 4.30 was the highest and the most significant and important component in granting student satisfaction. Accessibility was followed by reusability, then learner's choice, and equivalency, as you can see on the screen. So basically, students appreciated the accessibility of the material, the fact that they were able to reuse without any time limits or any number or frequency limits the material and activities that were posted on the course website, and that was followed by the learner's choice, the fact that the course was flexible and that students could choose their attendance mode, and finally the equivalency was high but the lowest number among all the four components of the HyFlex courses. Regarding the interviews, what we can see is that according to the students, here flexibility was mentioned as the most important factor in HyFlex courses that granted students satisfaction because it allowed them to have a work and life balance. Again, students also talked about the unlimited access to resources and course content, which goes back to the reusability and accessibility components of HyFlex courses, and then equal student support was also mentioned by students, which goes back to the equivalency component. According to the students, the interactions that happened online with the students who were attending the course online were not as beneficial and as frequent as those that happened in class, but that is kind of the nature of the online courses, where because students are not physically present in a place where they are having the interactions, definitely the amount of interaction can be decreased. So maybe we can work on that a little bit in future courses by trying to find more practical and frequent opportunities for students to interact with each other. Students who are in class and those who are online can find better ways to interact together in person and online in order to foster equal participation for all online learners. And finally, here is the list of the references that were used in this presentation. More references are provided in the full text of the paper, and you're welcome to take a look at them if you have any questions regarding the references of the paper. Thank you very much for your kind attention. We'll be happy to hear from you if you have any questions or comments.